Good morning and welcome to day 272 of Reading Through the Bible in a Year. For those who may not know, I am Pastor Terry, and today we will be reading Nehemiah chapters 11 through 13 and Psalms 126. But before we dive into the word, let's go to the Lord in prayer. God, we thank you for another day and another opportunity to worship, to serve you, God, and show appreciation for everything you've done and going to continue to do for each and every one of us. Lord, as we read these words or listen to them, God, I just pray that they would penetrate to the inner depths of our being, God, and that we don't get caught up in the pronunciation of some of these names that are difficult, but God, that we look beneath them and we look for the meaning of why they're there and the importance and the relevance. God, I pray that we would grow in knowledge and wisdom of who you are and what you've done for us. Lord, let these words be more than just something we do to check a box, but God, let it be something that changes who we are. Be with us throughout the day and throughout the evening, Lord. Just be with us in all that we say and all that we do. Guide our steps. In Jesus' name, amen. Again, going to be reading Nehemiah chapters 11 through 13 and Psalms 126, and I will be reading from the New Living Translation. Alrighty, beginning with Nehemiah chapter 11, the people occupy Jerusalem. And this is one of those chapters where there are a lot of names, and I am sure I will mispronounce some. So I'm just going to give that warning ahead of time. The leaders of the people were living in Jerusalem, the holy city. A tenth of the people from the other towns of Judah and Benjamin were chosen by sacred lots to live there too, while the rest stayed where they were. And the people commended everyone who volunteered to resettle in Jerusalem. Here's the list of the provincial officials who came to live in Jerusalem. Most of the people, priests, Levites, temple servants, and descendants of Solomon's servants, continued to live in their own homes in the various towns of Judah. But some of the people from Judah, and Benjamin resettled in Jerusalem. From the tribe of Judah, Athaiah, son of Uzziah, son of Zechariah, son of Amariah, son of Shephatiah, son of Mahalalel, of the family of Perez. Also, Maaseiah, son of Baruch, son of Kolhazah, son of Haziah, son of Adadiah, son of Joirib, son of Zechariah, of the family of Shelah. There were 468 descendants of Perez who lived in Jerusalem, all outstanding men. Salu, son of Meshullam, son of Joed, son of Pedadiah, son of Koliah, son of Mahasiah, son of Ithiel, son of Jehiah. After him were Gabai and Salai, a total of 928 relatives. Their chief officer was Joel, son of Zichri, who was assisted by Judah, son of Hasnuah, second in command over the city. From the priest, Jediah, son of Joirib, Jachin, and Sariah, son of Hilkiah, son of Meshullam, son of Zadok, son of Merioth, son of Ahitub, the supervisor of the temple of God. Also 822 of their associates who worked at the temple. Also Adiah, son of Jeroham, son of Pelaliah, son of Amzi, son of Zechariah, son of Pashur, son of Makijah, along with 242 of his associates who were heads of their families. Also Amashiah, son of Azriel, son of Uzziah, son of Meshulamoth, son of Immer, and 128 of his outstanding associates. Their chief officer was Zabdiel, son of Haggadolim. From the Levites, Shemaiah, son of Hashab, son of Azrikam, son of Hashabiah, son of Buni. Also Shabbathiah, Jozabad, who were in charge of their work outside the temple of God. Also Mattaniah, son of Micah, son of Zabdi, a descendant of Asaph, who led in thanksgiving and prayer. Also Bakubiah, who was Mattaniah's assistant, and Abda, son of Shemua, son of Galal, son of Jeduthun. In all there were 284 Levites in the holy city. From the gatekeepers, Akub, Talmon, and 172 of their associates who guarded the gates. The other priests, Levites, and the rest of the Israelites lived wherever their family inheritance was located in the towns of Judah. The temple servants, however, whose leaders were Ziah, and Gishpa all lived in the hill of Ophel. The chief officer of the Levites in Jerusalem was Uzi, son of Benai, son of Hashabiah, son of Mattaniah, son of Micah, a descendant of Asaph, whose family served as singers at God's temple. Their daily responsibilities were carried out according to the terms of a royal command. Pethahiah, son of Meshezabel, a descendant of Zerah, son of Judah, was the royal advisor in all matters of public administration. As for the surrounding villages with their open fields, some of the people of Judah lived in Kiriath Arba with its settlements, Dibon with its settlements, and Jekabzeel with its villages. They also lived in Jeshua, Maladah, Beth Pelet, Hazor Shuel, Beersheba with its settlements, Ziklag and Mokanah with its settlements. They also lived in En-Ramon, Zorah, Jarmuth, Zonah, Adulam with the surrounding villages. They also lived in Lachish with its nearby fields, and Azekah with its surrounding villages. So the people of Judah were living all the way from Beersheba in the south to the valley of Hainan. Some of the people of Benjamin lived at Geba, Michmash, Ajai, Bethel with its settlements. They also lived in Anathoth, Nob, Ananiah, Hazor, Ramah, Kittim, Hadid, Zeboim, Nabalat, Lad, Ono, and the valley of craftsmen. Some of the Levites who lived in Judah were sent to live with the tribe of Benjamin. Chapter 12. A history of the priest and the Levites. More names. Here's a list of the priests and Levites who returned with Zerubbabel, son of Jestiel, and Jeshua, the high priest. Sariah, Jeremiah, Ezra, Amariah, Maluk, Hatush, Shechaniah, Harim, Meremoth, Edo, Genethion, Abijah, Miniamin, Moadiah, Bilgah, Shema, Joirib, Jediah, Salu, Amok, Hilkiah, and Jedaiah. There were leaders of the priests and their associates in the days of Jeshua. The Levites who returned with them were Jeshua, Binnui, Kadmiel, Sherebiah, Judah, and Mathaniah, who with his associates was in charge of the songs of thanksgiving. Their associates, Bakubiah and Uni, stood opposite them during the service. Jeshua, the high priest, was the father of Joachim. Joachim was the father of Eliashib. Eliashib was the father of Joiada. Joiada was the father of Johanan. Johanan was the father of Jaddua. Now, when Joachim was high priest, the family leaders of the priests were as follows. Moriah was the leader of the family of Sariah. Hananiah was the leader of the family of Jeremiah. Meshullam was the leader of the family of Ezra. Johanan was the leader of the family of Amariah. Jonathan was the leader of the family of Maluk. Joseph was the leader of the family of Shechaniah. Adnah was the leader of the family of Haram. Hilkiah was the leader of the family of Meremoth. Zechariah was the leader of the family of Edo. Meshullam was the leader of the family of Ginnethon. Zichri was the leader of the family of Abijah. There was also a leader of the family of Miniamin. Piltai was the leader of the family of Moadiah. Shammua was the leader of the family of Bilgah. Jehonathan was the leader of the family of Shemaiah. Mattaniah was the leader of the family of Joirib. Uzi was the leader of the family of Jediah. Kalai was the leader of the family of Salu. Eber was the leader of the family of Amok. Hashabiah was the leader of the family of Hilkiah. Nathaniel was the leader of the family of Jediah. A record of the Levite families was kept during the years when Eliashib, Joiada, Johanan, and Jaddua served as high priest. Another record of the priests was kept during the reign of Darius the Persian. A record of the heads of the Levite families was kept in the book of history down to the days of Johanan, the grandson of Eliashib. There were the family leaders of the Levites: Hashabiah, Sherebiah, Jeshua, Binnui, Kadmiel, and other associates who stood opposite them during the ceremonies of praise and thanksgiving, one section responding to the other as commanded by David, the man of God. This included Mattaniah, Bakbukiah, and Obadiah. Meshullam, Talmon, and Ukub were the gatekeepers in charge of the storeroom at the gates. These all served in the days of Joachim, son of Jeshua, son of Jehozadak. and in the days of Nehemiah the governor, and of Ezra the priest and scribe. For the dedication of the new wall to Jerusalem, the Levites throughout the land were asked to come to Jerusalem to assist in the ceremonies. They were to take part in the joyous occasion with their songs of thanksgiving and with the music of cymbals, harps, and lyres. The singers were brought together from the region around Jerusalem and from the villages of the Netophathites. They also came from Beth Gilgal and the rural areas of Geba and Asmaveth, for the singers had built their own settlements around Jerusalem. The priests and Levites first purified themselves, then they purified the people, the gates, and the wall. I led the leaders of Judah to the top of the wall and organized 2 large choirs to give thanks. One of the choirs proceeded southward along the top of the wall of the dung gate. Hoshea and half the leaders of Judah followed him, along with Azariah, Ezra, Meshullam, Judah, Benjamin, Shemaiah, and Jeremiah. Then came some priests who played trumpets, including Zechariah, son of Jonathan, son of Shemaiah, son of Mattaniah, son of Micaiah, son of Zakur, a descendant of Asaph. And Zechariah's colleagues were Shemaiah, Azareel, Malalai, Gilai, Maiah, Nathaniel, Judah, and Hanani. They used the musical instruments prescribed by David, the man of God. Ezra, the scribe, led the procession. At the fountain gate, they went straight up the steps on the ascent of the city wall of the city of David. They passed the house of David and then proceeded to the water gate on the east. The second choir, giving thanks, went northward, around the other way to meet them. I followed them, together with the other half of the people, along the top of the wall, past the Tower of the Ovens to the broad wall, then past the Ephraim gate to the old city gate, past the fish gate and the Tower of Hathniel, and onto the Tower of the 100. Then we continued to the sheep gate and stopped at the guard gate. The 2 choirs that were giving thanks then proceeded to the temple of God, where they took their places. So did I, together with the group of leaders who were with me. We went together with the trumpet-playing priest, Eliakim, Messiah, Miniamin, Micaiah, Elionai, Zechariah, and Hanani, and the singers, Maaseiah, Shemaiah, Eleazar, Uzi, Jehohanan, Malchijah, Elam, and Ezer. They played and sang loudly under the direction of Jazariah, the choir director. Many sacrifices were offered on that joyous day, for God had given the people cause for great joy. The women and children also participated in the celebration, and the joy of the people of Jerusalem could be heard far away. On that day, men were appointed to be in charge of the storerooms for the offerings, the first part of the harvest and the tithes. They were responsible to collect from the fields outside the towns the portions required by the law for the priests and Levites. For all the people of Judah took joy in the priests and Levites and their work. They performed the service of their God and the service of purification as commanded by David and his son Solomon. And so did the singers and the gatekeepers. The custom of having choir directors to lead the choirs in hymns of praise and thanksgiving to God began long ago in the day of David and Asaph. So now, in the days of Zerubbabel and Nehemiah, all Israel brought the daily supply of food for the singers, the gatekeepers, and the Levites. The Levites, in turn, gave a portion of what they received to the priests, the descendants of Aaron. Chapter 13. Nehemiah's various reforms. On that same day, as the book of Moses was being read to the people, the passage was found that said no Ammonite or Moabite should ever be permitted to enter the assembly of God, for they had not provided the Israelites with food and water in the wilderness. Instead, they hired Balaam to curse them. Though our God turned the curse into a blessing, when this passage of the law was read, all those of foreign descendants were immediately excluded from the assembly. Before this had happened, Eliashib, the priest, who had been appointed as supervisor of the storeroom of the temple of our God, and who was also a relative of Tobiah, had converted a large storage room and placed it at Tobiah's disposal. The room had previously been used for storing the grain offerings, the frankincense, various articles of the temple, and the tithes of the grain, new wine, and olive oil, which were prescribed for the Levites, the singers, and the gatekeepers. Excuse me. Sorry about that. As well as the offerings for the priest. I was not in Jerusalem at that time, for I had returned to King Artaxerxes in Babylon in the 32nd year of their reign, though I later asked his permission to return. When I arrived back in Jerusalem, I learned about Eliashab's evil deed in providing Tobiah with a room in the courtyards of the temple of God. I became very upset, and I threw all of Tobiah's belongings out in the room. Then I demanded that the rooms be purified, and I brought back the articles for God's temple, the grain offerings, and the frankincense. I also discovered that the Levites had not been given their prescribed portions of food. So they and the singers, who were to conduct the worship services, had all returned to work their fields. I immediately confronted the leaders and I demanded, "Why has this temple of God been neglected?" Then I called all the Levites back again and restored them to their proper duties. And once more, the people of Judah began bringing their tithes of grain, new wine, and olive oil to the temple storerooms. I assigned supervisors for the storerooms: Shelemiah the priest, Zadok the scribe, and Pedaiah, one of the Levites, and I appointed Hanan, son of Zakur, the grandson of Mattaniah, as their assistant. These men had excellent reputation, and it was their job to make honest distribution to the fellow Levites. Remember this good deed, O my God, and do not forget all that I have faithfully done for my temple of my God and its service. In these days, I saw men of Judah treading out the wine presses on the Sabbath. They were also bringing in grain, loading it on donkeys, and bringing their wine, grapes, figs, and all sorts of produce to Jerusalem to sell on the Sabbath. So I rebuked them from selling their produce on that day. Some men from Tyre, who lived in Jerusalem, were bringing in fish and all kinds of merchandise. They were selling it on the Sabbath to the people of Judah, and in Jerusalem at that. So I confronted the nobles of Judah. "Why are you profaning the Sabbath in this evil way?" I asked. "Wasn't it just this sort of thing that your ancestors did that caused our God to bring all the trouble upon us and our city? Now you are bringing even more wrath upon Israel by permitting the Sabbath to be desecrated in this way?" Then I commanded that the gates of Jerusalem should be shut as darkness fell every Friday evening, not to be opened until Sabbath ended. I sent some of my own servants to guard the gates so that no merchandise could be brought in on the Sabbath day. The merchants and tradesmen with a variety of wares camped outside Jerusalem once or twice, but I spoke sharply to them and I said, "What are you doing out here camping around the wall? If you do this again, I will arrest you." And that was the last time they came on the Sabbath. Then I commanded the Levites to purify themselves and to guard the gates in order to preserve holiness of the Sabbath. Remember this good deed also, O my God. Have compassion on me according to your great and unfailing love. About the same time, I realized that some of the men of Judah had married women from Ashdod, Ammon, and Moab. Furthermore, half their children spoke the language of Ashdod, or some of the other people who could not speak the language of Judah at all. So I confronted them and I called down curses on them. I beat some of them and I pulled out their hair. I made them swear in the name of God that they would never let their children intermarry with the pagan people of the land. Wasn't this exactly what led King Solomon of Israel into sin? I demanded. There was no king for any nation who could compare to him, and God loved him and made him king over all of Israel. But even he was led into sin by his foreign wives. How could you even think of committing the sinful deed and acting unfaithfully toward God by marrying foreign women? One of the sons of Joadiah, son of Eliashab, the high priest, had married a daughter of Sanballat, the Horonite, so I banished him from my presence. Remember them, O my God, for they have defiled the priesthood and the solemn vow of the priest and the Levites. So I purged out everything foreign and assigned tasks to the priests and Levites, making certain each knew his work. I also made sure the supply of wood for the altar and the first portions of the harvest were brought at the proper times. Remember this in my favor, O my God. Moving on to Psalms 126. A song for pilgrims, ascending to Jerusalem. When the Lord brought back his exiles to Jerusalem, it was like a dream. It was like a dream. We were filled with laughter and we sang with joy. And the other nations said, "What amazing things the Lord has done for them." Yes, the Lord has done amazing things for us. What joy. Restore our fortunes, Lord. Our streams renew the desert. Those who plant in tears will harvest with shouts of joy. They weep as they go to plant their seed, but they sing as they return with the harvest. Have a blessed and a wonderful day.